Buenas tardes, gracias por venir. Es un placer para nosotros, para la Escuela de Organización Industrial, tener una jornada esta tarde que nos va a acercar a la realidad de la sociedad china, al desarrollo de su incipiente economía digital, con un ponente que ha hecho un viaje fugaz, es su primera vez en España y, bueno, es una persona, no quiero desvelar demasiado su perfil porque tendremos quien nos lo presente con más detalle, pero sí quería, como escuela de organización industrial, dar la bienvenida a ambos ponentes, dar la bienvenida también a nuestros estudiantes de los programas de máster de Latinoamérica que están también con nosotros en su estancia en España y al resto de alumnos de los programas de hoy relacionados principalmente con esta materia. Tenemos esta tarde para introducirnos en este campo de la economía digital, la economía abierta, la economía social, la importancia de las redes, de la tecnología, de la cultura digital, a Javier Castañeda, que es el director de Tecnología y Cibercultura de Casa Asia, que es un gran conocedor de las tendencias, los movimientos, las características intrínsecas de la cultura asiática y su relación con la tecnología. Es una persona que lleva años viajando, organizando distinto tipo de actividades en los países asiáticos, trayendo también esas actividades y esas personas a España para poder acercar ambos mundos y que nos ha hecho el gran favor de acompañarnos esta tarde para introducir al ponente, a Isaac Mao, que será quien nos acercará a la realidad china desde su propia experiencia y su perspectiva como uno de los grandes usuarios de la red, como una de las personas que están movilizando y que están creando una nueva forma de pensar, de relacionarse y de construir sociedad. Gracias. Os dejo con Javier.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. En primer lugar, quiero agradecer igualmente a Isaac Mao su presencia aquí desde que llegó el domingo por la noche. La verdad es que no ha parado, contagiándonos con esa energía tan propia de los asiáticos, de entrevistas, conferencias, mesas redondas. Participaba también en el primer congreso, en la segunda edición del Congreso Internacional de Turismo Asiático, que tuvo lugar ayer mismo en Barcelona. Y hoy ha tenido pues la gentileza de desplazarse hasta Madrid porque se va mañana, pero pensamos que era una ocasión única para que compartiera con todos nosotros pues su saber en la materia que hoy vamos a tratar. Obviamente también quiero agradecer a la Escuela de Organización Industrial pues no solo toda la disponibilidad que ha puesto todo su equipo a la hora de recibirnos y de preparar esta conferencia, sino también esa especial sensibilidad a la hora de aventurarse en ese continente ya no tan lejano que es Asia, porque en gran parte y sobre todo en lo referente a nuevas tecnologías, pues todos sabemos que tiene mucho que decir. Obviamente también gracias a todos vosotros, a todos ustedes por venir esta tarde a acompañarnos en esta charla. Y sobre Isaac Mao, bueno, imagino que los que estáis aquí, pues la mayoría ya habréis leído por lo menos su perfil, ¿no? Como comentábamos con Tíscar el otro día, tiene tantos sombreros que es difícil encajarle en una sola ocupación, ¿no? Lo que sí que está claro es que es un emprendedor, aparte de blogger, que domina el tema digital desde muchas de sus facetas y que también, pues desde esa visión caleidoscópica, no solo se preocupa pues, en ir haciendo negocios y en ir emprendiendo iniciativas, sino también está muy preocupado, es una persona constantemente preocupada por compartir el conocimiento, tal como hace tanto desde la Social Brain Foundation, que es una de las iniciativas que él dirige, como también muy conectado con la universidad, tanto en Shanghái, donde vive, como ahora en Hong Kong, donde está preparando un amplio proyecto universitario para difundir, entre otras cosas, la teoría de las que nos va a hablar hoy, que es su teoría que es Sharismo, que la traducción en castellano más correcta o algo parecido sería como, bueno, es un poco largo, pero el acto de compartir, ¿no? Él piensa, es una frase suya, the more you share, the more you get share, es decir, que cuanto más compartes, por así decirlo, más te vuelve, más feedback o más retorno tienes. Y probablemente yo creo que ni él mismo sospechaba cuando en el 5 de agosto de 2002 puso su primer post en la red, no imaginaba pues que estaba siendo, si no dicen, bueno, es el primero o uno de los primeros bloggers en China, pues que unos años después, 9 años después, pues habría más o menos operativos 42 millones de blogs en China y unos 60, decía el otro día, si contamos todo el microblogging, ¿no? Lo que es Twitter. Conocemos normalmente poco de la realidad sobre China, de Internet, las noticias que nos llegan no siempre son las mejores, pero aparte de eso se está produciendo un movimiento como todo lo que empieza de construcción, ¿no? O sea, no de deconstrucción en el sentido de Ferran Adrià, sino justo lo opuesto. Están construyendo, hay mucha gente muy activa intentando construir ese entramado digital, ese tejido que permite no solo consolidar negocio, porque lejos también de lo que se suele pensar, cada vez China está más lejos de quedarse en ser solo esa fábrica global del mundo, sino que va muy a la cabeza, y lo veremos entre los próximos 5 y 10 años, en innovación. Bueno, pues yo creo que sin más, por último, quizá cabría añadir que él cree o él piensa, por eso parte de esa filosofía del Sharismo y de compartir, la toma desde la propia naturaleza del cuerpo humano, que es el cerebro, y entonces el cerebro con sus propias acciones de sinapsis, o sea, esa naturaleza del cuerpo humano, que es compartir entre las neuronas esa información, él la aplica a la sociedad y a sus modelos digitales, ¿no? Entonces piensa que lo natural en la sociedad es compartir, por eso esa información se retroalimenta y gana valor en medida cuanto más se comparte, y luego te suele llegar eso con un valor añadido, un feedback, ¿no? Por eso esa sinapsis neuronal, él la lleva a esa sinapsis digital, y bueno, supongo que entre casi, si pensamos en las cifras, ¿no?, que nos suena macro, pues que casi 420, más de 400 millones de población de China conectada, que es casi un tercio de la población de China, ¿no? Y si es en móviles ya, pues dicen que, bueno, junto con India, ¿no?, casi abarcan a un 70% de la población mundial. Yo aquí animaría, normalmente, claro, suelen asustar estas cifras por la cantidad, ¿no?, pero animaría a pensar en además de esos grandes números que asustan, en lo que es la calidad. Es decir, a partir de todo eso están destilando cada vez mejores ideas que la propia sociedad China y los emprendedores digitales, que también los hay, como es el caso de Isaac Mao y hay muchos otros en distintos ámbitos, están cada vez más ganando terreno y apostando por una competitividad que saben que es mundial e internacional, y pronto, insisto, en estos planes que suelen hacer ellos quinquenales de renovación, o basta darse una vuelta por las zonas de alta tecnología que tienen allí los campos son como viveros de empresas, pero bueno, tienen como más de 50 en el país, hace 10 años tenían 1 o 2, o sea, es decir, eso nos da una idea de la escala, y de todo esto, o sea, nos hace pensar que en gran parte el futuro puede venir de China. Por eso, bueno, entre otras cosas, pues en Estados Unidos fue elegido como una de las personas en 2006 para crear y dibujar estos escenarios de futuro. Sin más, le cedo la palabra. Para nosotros es un gran honor tenerle aquí esta tarde, y espero que todos no solo, bueno, podamos aprender un poquito más de esa realidad de China de primera mano, saltándonos, por así decirlo, la barrera del idioma, y con la posibilidad de tener aquí a uno de sus principales actores y protagonistas, y además pues pudiendo interactuar con él, preguntarle, compartir y, por qué no, también disfrutar. Muchísimas gracias, Isaac Mao.
Hello, can you hear me? Thanks, Kiska. Thanks, Javier, for letting me understand a few words. Sorry, I can speak only Mandarin and English. So I hope that everyone here can understand what I'm saying. And I think maybe Javier has described all what I want to say tonight. But I would love to elaborate, some of my personal experience in business world and now as a social entrepreneur, as a researcher, how I perceive the future of the world, how those business will evolve itself in the age of social media. It's a big trend. It's a potential social norm that everyone could be influenced, or you become the influencer. So it's very much potential revolution, not only like the recent, change in Middle East or whatever you have heard from China. It's a kind of change we are experiencing. And my role as a creator of Sharism, the new philosophy, as well, some of those roughly like a spiritual movement, but I own anything of that. Sharism is about everyone's philosophy, so I have no copyright of that, and I would love to see that everyone first can own it and practice it and try to define your own Sharism. This is something I shared this lunch with some students here already in a question and answer way about how Sharism is trying to evolve our society from socialism, capitalism, to a future kind of social structure. So I can only cut off maybe a snapshot of what I'm doing because I'm writing the book of Sharism, a whole new world. And today I can only share part of that, and I want to see and listen to your feedbacks as well. This is the Sharism I share to you, and you share back to me. And I wish this room is not a closed room, it's an open room that everyone on internet can see that, can hear your voices, your opinions, your maybe comments and critics about the theory, because it's still evolving and maybe takes years to accomplish itself. So let me start from a case, happened last year. One company called Google, everyone knows that. They made a decision last January to claim that they could pull out of China search engine market. And in that case, many people have different opinions on that because they all touch the case from their own angles, from their own understandings. In that days, I wrote a piece on The Guardian, a newspaper in UK, in the title of Google, China, and the Art of War. Because The Art of War is a book written by a Chinese, military expert in 2,000 years ago, called Sun Tzu. The war is something not just fighting. It's a kind of bargaining. It's a kind of, wrestling, between each other. Not only use the power of wrist, but also use a lot of soft powers, between each other. So Google did the right move from my perspective. In this article, I praised them. However, just 3 years ago, before this decision they made, I wrote an open letter to Google founders and eventually got their responses as well, to suggest them not compromise too much to China authority, because they received a lot of censorship, instructions from China authority every day by calling their executives. So what they did is try to following the instructions to remove the people's names, sensitive keywords, from their China server, and this caused people's, their feedbacks to Google, and so Google becomes a middle one, the pressure from government, another side from the end users. This situation cannot last, and finally they made decision to pulling out. But my suggestion then is trying to tell them that the compromise will never be ending. So if you compromise a little, you will continue to compromise, and someday will be pushed to the corner, nowhere to go. And that's something happened eventually. Why I suggest that? Because doing business in China is something very, very, very much like a dilemma. You see a lot of laws, commercial laws, business laws there, but if you only follow those laws, you cannot survive because there are a lot of hidden rules you have to follow. Otherwise, you will get, those a lot of pressures from different corners. You never know who they are. A lot of departments, local authorities, central authorities, as well those different, benefit groups, they may push you out. However, if you act too much to follow the hidden rules, it takes a lot of learning curve and tuition fees. You have to learn for years. How we do in those years is very much a burden to you. Like, for example, some Chinese internet companies, they have to pay a lot of money to employ those called commentator editors, because there are a lot of comments from internet users every day, talking about politics, they're talking about sensitive issues, they're talking about communism party regime. So they have to employ a lot of people in their own office to delete those comments around the clock, 24 hours a day. So you can imagine how big it is as an investment, as a cost structure to a business. However, it cannot be taken by Google, such a company, international company, because they have a global, cost structure. They don't have a, specific one for China market to employ hundreds of people to do this kind of self-censorship things. So it's a big dilemma to them. And then Google cannot sustain it anymore. This is not a good case for business to learn. Google made a good move to keep its stance. However, it's not a successful case to keep the market. So after Google's pulling out, another search engine in China, Baidu, took the market share almost totally from Google. Although there are still a lot of users kept using Google, sometimes they have to switch back to Baidu to search some Chinese content because Google stopped serving so well for Chinese users in this market. So in this case, I want to say that is Google totally a failure in China market? No, actually. I talked in my article that it's an art of war. It's a short-term failure. However, Google stares for longer, benefits of China markets. They're smart as well. They pulling out of China, pull back to the Hong Kong, put the servers into Hong Kong, region, because Hong Kong is another system, is a freedom place rather than China mainland. And Google prepared for future revenge. This is my calling, because we can see this picture is a Google product table in the format of a periodic table, like the chemical elements. You see the search engine part in the right color. It's only part of their own realm. They have a lot of product lines, covering different kind of services and products and technologies. They still continue and moving on to cover a bigger landscape. So in China, although search engine is part of technology and market, Google pull out of this service. However, Google has other technologies touching base with China companies, like their Android phone. Nobody can resist the temptation of using Google's technology. So there are many, many new partners of Google built up in the past year, although Google search engine escaped. So in the long-term run, Google still has a lot of channels to touch base China market. It's not a failure, from a long-term run. For short-term, they has, withdraw one part of the service, but from a long run, you can take the market back. If people still support you, you can get the power from their users. So this is a case study. I want to showcase people, show those international companies. If you do business in China, don't copy Google's lessons, but copy Google's strategy. The lesson is, the first day Google search engine go to China market, they compromise. They didn't show their "Don't be evil" slogan to the China authority. So that's the problem. The authority learned a skill that to tackle, to deal with Google. They continually to call Google executive to remove this keyword, that keyword, a lot of that. So they kept receiving calls and cannot do nothing to do something else. So the strategy is that try to diversify your service products and don't totally, withdraw this market, because China market is definitely a big cake for everyone to execute, to try to explore. And I think a lot of market potential in the next 20 years for sure in China market, because there will be 350 million middle class will emerge in this market. For any industries, there's a big opportunity to that. However, is the business profit the first priority to everyone of us, to all the businessmen? That's sometimes work in the capitalism part, because if you can make money, you can say that, okay, I make money, then I do something good if after I'm making money. This is a kind of theory to many, many people, right, in the capitalism theory. However, I think there is something wrong, could be rarely the sustainability. Like many other companies try to do in China, they totally compromise to China government and try to follow the China's hidden rule. But eventually they found that they hurt a lot of Chinese internet users, China's consumers. For example, like Baidu, actually is not a China company. The founder is a Chinese. It's registered in Cayman Island. It's listed in Nasdaq stock market. However, it's actually not a purely China company, but it acted as a Chinese company, and it followed China government's all instructions to self-censor itself. But what's the result? The short-term result is that Baidu's market share increased. The stock price increased because the capitalism driven the stock market based on the market share, based on their revenues. However, more and more Chinese users are now criticizing Baidu after Google's pulling out, because they found there's no competitors to Baidu, and the only target of this search engine market is Baidu. So every day you can see many internet users try to attack this company, review its frauds, and everything they found, they will publish online to share with their friends, and they try to describe Baidu as an evil company. And these kind of things, if it's lost, how can we see Baidu's future? This is a question mark. I don't know, but at least traditionally, many people think profit is everything, right? We describe the mission of business is to earn profit, to make money. Sounds good, sounds reasonable. Some business like Google, they did some contributions to social goods, like they built up a Google Foundation to donate. Like Microsoft's founder, Bill Gates, built the Bill Gates Foundation to donate to some African projects. However, the position of profit and social is like this. The profit is the center, and the social is something like filtered, contribution. It's something complementary, and maybe their goal is trying to get more profit later. So in this circle, the social contribute a lot about the profit. Even those well-reputed companies, actually their social goods harvest from a lot from social to their profit. This is a traditional model, always work. However, we didn't see the real things. We see something, they are successful, and they do something good to contribute to our society, to improve the technology, to improve the whole society, to move forward. But actually, the main goal is different. It is still the same. Is this sustainable? If the social, functions always, below the profit, we will see the shrink of the social functions because we cannot see the society when all the profit go unbalanced way to the profit, and the social function will reduce itself. If the social functions reduced or shrinked, it will contribute less profit. So in this cycle, most of the companies cannot sustain itself for longer term. Whatever it does for software, for those traditional business, if it cannot, in this age, cannot do more social responsibilities, it will hurt itself from generating the upper function, the profit function. This is an unsustainable figure. We see a lot of studies, a lot of case studies. However, we want to see a change of that. So this is the original idea of how I think about, a different philosophy in our business world. So I want to see if it's possible to put the social function in the center. And then with the social goods, with the social responsibilities, the company can get, distilled to generate profit. If the social function is enlarging and the profit is enlarging. So the social function is forever because the society is moving itself. If we keep rolling this ball and keep the snowball bigger and bigger, and the future will generate more profit. And this model would be more sustainable in the imagination. And till now, all the things are in our imagination. So we are seeing it's not global warming, it's global heating for world, heating for discovering the iceberg under the surface of the water. Let's use the media industry to describe it. Traditionally we see a lot of mainstream things like the successful story of a company, what's the inner driven force of founders, whatever we see, there are a lot of such successful stories in the market from the mainstream media reporting. But what's the real driven force of the success? It actually came from the supporting of consumers, definitely. People buy their products. And also it came from many other hidden and invisible factors. For example, like everyone of us know Apple success in the past 3 years. It's becoming almost the number one market cap company around the world. And many of us have the Apple products like iPhone, iPad, etc. So did Apple make a lot of marketing on that? No, they didn't. Actually, we bought iPhone product from the many of our surroundings. All the people buzzed iPhone, iPad. So I was pushed to buy iPad the same way. But nobody pay me for my marketing Apple's product. It's the hidden thing, we cannot see. It's actually the social marketing. They work by themselves based on people's judgment and the function of the products and the service. Everything mixed together to generate a judgment to a product, to a service, and then make the things rolling itself, make the ball rolling itself. And definitely Apple made very good products, made the design, and very, very talented, creative products. However, people didn't see how the social part works. It's the hidden part of the iceberg. And we want to explore that. That's something possible today. Because traditionally, if we do advertisement, we do business, marketing. As Philip Kotler said, people's needs is the center, right? And you design your products and services, try to explore doing marketing researches, and try to explore people's needs in advance and do everything and along this center. However, nobody really know what people needs, because no people speak out of their needs. If you research 1,000 people to satisfy 10 million people, it's impossible, right? It sounds ridiculous. So marketing research is something a blind mind trying to touch the elephant. It's always like this. How about advertisement? The same thing. Because you put a lot of money on the mainstream media to explode, to boom a lot of people, and you found some bodies from those victims. Okay, some are useful end users or target users, but others are sacrificed, right? And this, the hidden things. Actually, the marketing things is maybe not exactly what the traditional marketing theory described. Actually, it's based on the real-world connection, how people use their product, what's their experience, what's the user experience. Like the iPad thing, it's creative and it's a very cute product. Everyone likes to scroll. And this scrolling is a user experience that attracts a lot of people's attention, because traditionally that computer has to be use a manual click, to locate a function, a button, etc. But now you can, based on your finger, to move and make your function work. This is very, very revolutionary, especially to bridging the digital gap, digital divide. For example, like my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, Vicky, when she touched iPad, I taught her nothing. But after hours, she can do everything by herself, almost everything, except the setting up, of Wi-Fi, this kind of complex works. She can find what she like, and she told me which game is is the most funny one, and what's the trick inside some of the stuffs. So this kind of functions, this kind of creative designs give people the addiction to use the product and spread the messages and attract other people based on your sharing. This kind of sharing drives the product to be sold to several millions of them in several weeks. And then we see something must be very important to be explored. And I found that it's all based on people's sharing in different cases. Traditionally, we cannot see them because people not using technologies too much. They use the social ways in different casual conversations, social gatherings, It cannot be recorded. It lost. But we know that since 2000, this millennium, a new revolutionary thing happened. The blogging tool emerged. They appeared to get people's everything recorded. But in the early age, just about 10 years ago, the blogging tool is not everyone's tool, although I promote it very much to my friends, my colleagues. Please write a blog, and it can help you to learn things, record some things. They decline because they think, it takes a lot of time. What's the return of that? I don't know why I try to publish something like that. Because they see nothing from the return. That's very, very clear message to me. If I write something, publish something, I cannot see the return. It's an economic failure, right? Just like I invest in time, in money, and see no harvesting. It's a hurt of my motivation next moment or my interest, because I was not rewarded of return. However, things changing. We see more and more Web 2.0 tools emerged, in the past 5 years. People can publish everything easily from their devices, from their different gadgets. As well, they can publish to different sources at the same time. They don't need to copy one thing from here to there, by themselves. Everything can be done simultaneously, immediately. So the sharing becomes a very easy job. It's just one click away. So we see the connections, and then we see the returns. Let me show you in this figure. Someone like A, for example, is Isaac. I shared something on my social cloud. Cloud is a very popular word today. It means you use some tools and store your information in different services. Then it becomes a cloud. And because everyone else, try to copy your product, share your product, along your sharing, this one becomes a secondary, third, layer of copying. It also means that your product cannot be, your content cannot be removed anymore because it's in the cloud. Even you removed it, other one has a copy already, right? So I shared something here, then my social network. Maybe I have only 1 followers. I have 1 subscribers. I call subscribers more accurately because people trust me and they want to read something from me. So they subscribe to my social cloud channels. For example, my Flickr, my blog, or my Twitter. And there are 2 people subscribed. 1 people like B, he thought that, oh, this is cool. It's a very good picture. Isaac can take such a professional picture. So I think it's good. Or maybe something just to attract his attention or interest. So he shared to his network, to C1 and C2, also C3. Maybe he adds some comments on that. This is very important behavior. People add something to what you shared. It's a macro behavior, action, right? But it adds value to the original piece of work. And it generates maybe more important information or intelligence. If we see these procedures keep going, and things can, relay to more people in like a water pipeline, through from one pipe to more pipes. I did nothing. I only make a click to share this, right? It's not a big investment. However, I see through a lot of people were affected. This is the media effect. It's not broadcasting. I didn't talk to people like this case. I talk to all of you. Instead, I don't know who I talk. I only know several people subscribe to me, and I click it. Then things happen, in a cascade way, like fall, from the higher place to the down place. And sometimes something happens dramatically. It becomes not only a cascade, it becomes an avalanche. Very shocking avalanche. Let's imagine, why a suicide of Tunisian young man caused a big revolution. That's an avalanche. That's for political explanation. But commercially, if there is a product or services started here, like a review of a product, if it's well described, it's telling the truth, it's professional, not from traditional media, from a personal media, can generate a media effect to cover more people. And this one, he is very being no-brainer, for example. He could, oh, this is good. I will go to shop to buy. So the information spreading can generate physical actions. This is something different. The information, I never know him, but he take action based on something I shared. This is the value chain, we never know before, because nobody can record that. But today, more and more social media tools can record. We can track back to who shared originally, because it's from E to D to C to B, to A, we can see it. This is one of the philosophical change because the information generates physical change. Because we traditionally, in other philosophies, we try to divide the mental things, epistemological things, from ontological things. They are different. They don't link to each other. The bit cannot link to atom. But in these connections, we see I drive the world to change. And how about, E is me, myself? It's very possible, right? If we build enough channels. This one could be myself. And along the path, I see many, many new value-added, creative ideas added to my original ideas. Then I got a better idea, a more profound idea. Is that true? So I got a return. In the first case, he buy products, I didn't get return because he bought iPad, not my product. However, if I am a businessman, I sell product in this way, I get return. So these kind of things happen today, not in a daily manner. It's in a second manner. Every second is happening. Cycling. It's not enough today because we still need a lot of people join this social media paradigm. How many people here has Twitter account? So many, yeah. How many people tweet at least 5 times a day? Okay, yeah, seems less, but okay, yeah. I don't think you need so much energies to do this, but I suggest that if you share, there could be something happening along this path. Whatever it is, maybe it's a question. Then you harvest answers. It's a marketing message, you harvest the brand recognition. So one of my business in Asia market is called brand dig, brand plus dig. To try to dig the value of branding. Just by using social media, we try to define small package for businesses, especially international businesses, to China market, maybe 10% of their traditional marketing packages to try to market their branding, their product and services. It's very successful, at least last year, to promote some country brands to Shanghai Expo audience. The result is very good. So I see we try to study this. It's not yet a doctrine, a theory yet. I'm writing this. But I think it's worth of exploring for any kinds of political scientist, business scientist, to explore this, try to see a quite different paradigm, not the center of profit, instead the center of information. And the information will be adjusted by your users. Why? Because if you're a fraud business, if you share some information along the path, are those information all positive to you? No, definitely not, because people will check it. There are a lot of people with time plus. There are a lot of people, take more than half of daily time going online, today. They don't need to, worry about that. They just click, around the world, right? So there could be a lot of feedbacks, not positive to you, not like I described ideally, all good things, to yourself. It could be negative remarks back to you. So you have to adjust. This procedure gives us a lot of chance to reach social justice. So in this way, I believe the God leads us to a more justical world by giving people more freedom of sharing, of information, of expression. Because along these social networks, it's not the internet 5 years ago even. It's today's internet and tomorrow's internet. Everyone has the power to publish. and has the potential to become a hero next minute, and possible to be defamed if he makes something wrong. This is possible, but this cycle will ever continue to try to adjust yourself like a religion did in our traditional world. So we talk about the karma things, this lynch. It's like a visible karma because the traditional religious karma is invisible, and you could realize for a whole life, to see the result. And today you can see the things, create so many feedbacks and results all the time. You cannot avoid of that. Even you are not an influencer, you could be influenced. So think about this. If you are a businessman, if you are a figure, you want to promote something, be careful. You have to be in this network. Because even, for example, like this, he doesn't share. It doesn't mean that he will not be shared because he has to receive information from different sources, different channels, or maybe forever traditional media. But traditional media is become only a node of this. You can try to pay attention to the change of traditional media industry. Almost all those journalists today, they become totally nude. They are not the first-hand information digger. They are second-hand or third-hand because the first-hand information provider go online and publish information by themselves already, right? We see those changes already. So the traditional media, they may be larger ball, but they're still no more than a node, So they influence the traditional people, and we see the similar effect always rolling. Any questions? Sorry. Okay. Different. It's too much different view, right? And I want to see that how this philosophy work to disrupt our traditional thinking because it's definitely something visible to let's see some changes. Like I think something here and somebody there move. This is a connectivity thing. I cannot do like the magician, use the mantle to control something. It's very, very magical thing. And we see the link of meme. Meme is a concept describe the information unit, like the gene describe our biological unit, in our biological world. The meme is an information gene, actually. We see those memes flow everywhere, every day, from every corner of the world to every corner of the world. And we see the linkages between memes and behaviors. They have direct links now, although maybe take several paths to go generate effect. So we have to be responsive to this kind of change. For example, like last year when I was in Austria, I live in Novotel, there in Linz. And I found something wrong with my preparations. I normally take a set of power adapters with my traveling to different countries. At that time, I forgot it. So when I checked in the hotel to my room, I opened my laptop. Okay, I found the power adapter, missing. I didn't take it. However, I use my mobile phone, maybe one tweet per US dollars. In that way, it's roaming. I send out a message that, I checked in Novotel. However, I forgot taking my power adapter. This is nothing special, right? It's a personal reflection. However, after about 5 to 10 minutes, I forgot it, but the tweet is still there online. We can check. There's someone from Novotel, the Europe's headquarters, found this tweet because they searched all the tweets related to Novotel. They responded to me and called me from their Linz Novotel front desk to my room. This is a a message from me to internet, to headquarters of Novotel, to the Linz Novotel, then to my room. It takes a long path, but it worked. It's not, I didn't even realize I should call the front desk of the Linz Novotel. But the information maybe go around the world and then take effects. This is the linkage between meme and behavior. Link information between people and people as the transitor to the atoms, to the physical move. So we can track the path of the value adding. Another example, I will describe shortly why I'm here. Because Javier, he tried to find someone in Shanghai Expo to talk about China internet economy and development. And he tried to ask his friend, one of his friends. And the friend found another friend. Another friend found a journalist in China from Spain. And the journalist happened interviewed me before. So then we found the path back, tells me I'm here today because after the first, meetup, we have the second chance to share together. Yeah. So the word is running. It's not something special today. It's actually run for centuries already, but we didn't see that before. And today we can track back. We can see those things record in the cloud somewhere. It's something interesting. So I call it path of value adding. We need to research the paths, and the information system should support this someday. It's not the traditional CRM, customer relationship management. It's the boring database. You never know who they are. They're just names and fields, in your database. However, it's a vivid and dynamic CRM system that your company can deploy. You can see through your customers who they are, where they are, what they said today, and how many other potential users they are saying. So we need to define some new information system to support this. I call it a new protocol to record different users, and our systems you did in different companies, they support the same protocol. So when people share, they may use different words to describe share. They may say tweet it, send to Facebook, or share to Delicious, or share to Flickr, whatever the word is. But the system try to record this kind of sharing behaviors. And then it's possible to track all those sharing behaviors, to record the people sharing behaviors. And if all the sharing activities were recorded more than today's, a few web services, we can see those values can be exchangeable. For example, Apple computer can see through the word how many people are buzzing Apple's products more than other people. So they can reward those people by giving them the first, time testing of their products, or maybe give them the best account of that. This is much more rewarding, a reasonable rewarding to those sharing heroes. Because there are always people who love to share more, and not all the people like this. But they should be encouraged and rewarded. This system work together, and all the system around customer are individual eventually. So you have your own share bank, I call it. You accumulate different sharing behaviors in different systems. So I use the concept called share. In Chinese, is 份子, means a piece of things. So this share traditionally is the stock share, right? But now we used for a new currency to record people's sharing behaviors that every company can record it. For example, when I talked to a Korean airline company recently, they really cherish this concept, and they want to do the marketing in China. They said that, what can I do? Should I make a contest of buzzing our names online? I said no. The only simple, maybe untraditional method is you reward those prominent bloggers buying airline tickets for the best discount. Try it. They said they may not say our airline good, or they may not talk about airlines. I said, doesn't matter. You just reward those people like to share. Means that you reward those people who may have the potential influence to other people. It's not the traditional direct exchange of value. It's quite different marketing, thinking model. It's not like, okay, you buzz my product, so I reward you. No, you see the potential of how people with those sharing heroes to your products, finally, there could be a long path to go, not today, but in the future. So they are doing a marketing plan redefined now. Just maybe after this Chinese Spring Festival, they may roll out a new plan to do that. They will reward those top bloggers in China, wherever they go, and whatever they fly with the airline, it doesn't matter. They just reward them to showcase people that, okay, please buzzers, you will be rewarded in the future. This is quite different, thinking model to the marketers. Another case is a donation, a social enterprise movement last November, very successful. An organization, nonprofit organization in States called Beat Cancer. It's a cancer patient curing and caring organization. They raise money before from donors to care those patients. It's totally nonprofit. But traditionally, they raise money by calling, by have a donation, event, and may raise several thousands of US dollars, each time. So take a long term to raise a lot of money. But last November, they did very creative marketing campaign online, just using Twitter. Because two of the donors, potential donors of them, promised them, if the next time you do some marketing campaigns and call 1 or 2 million people's attention, we will donate more money to you. So they did the project, they did the campaign like this. They write a blog post online first. They claim that two of the donors, potential donors, will like to donate money to us if you buzz our information, this blog post. They would love to donate 1 US cent each time. Nobody knows the result. But once they tweet it on their website, we see a lot of people rebuzzing it, retweeting it on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere. In 1 week, they got 8 million retweets because, just like I said, retweet is just a piece of click. People like to see this. They don't need to donate money. They donate a retweet. They donate a rebuzzing, a resharing, of this information. So they raise $80,000 US in about 2 weeks. It's a big difference, to their traditional donation model. This also caught our attention because our business world can try to reinvent their marketing strategies, along those social power. If we can call people's attention, it's actually effective marketing already, right? Because people judge whether they do this attraction, they follow this attraction by themselves. They are not being pushed to take the message. They intentionally doing by itself. If they do creative, you have to be, very sincere and authentic. Otherwise, you will got big job as well. So this is a different thinking model. If you search this, if you follow this philosophy, I think you need more explorations about theory behind that. I call it social neuron. I describe everyone first here. I look at you, not human. You're like a neuron, like we are living in a big brain, and we connect to each other. It's invisible, sometimes visible. And everyone has the channels, input channels and output channels at the same time. Maybe not only one, several of them. Yeah, like the octopus. But it's actually, the neural model is quite profound that we don't know exactly. And we see, if we connect people, our output channels will become someone else's input channels. And someone output channels will become another one's input channels. And then maybe back to Earth, back to ourselves, by creating the dynamic circuit. The circuit runs, and the information found its ultimate value, because the bad information will stop. Nobody continue that. And the worth information will go along the whole path and eventually reach its density of maybe the ceiling and stop. And someday maybe revived again. This is the kind of model that we can use to describe. I will describe in the book also. And by the way, I told our friends here this lunch already. My book published in paper format. The same time published in digital format, free. Why I choose this model? I want people to read the digital format easily, from maybe my publication to Spanish only in minutes. It takes, never takes transportation or whatever to on the shelf, to buy from the shelf. No stock requirement, etc. At the same time, if you like the book, like the theory, you may recommend, you may buzz, you may share to your friends, to your network. Some people will buy it, the physical book. This is the belief I'm trying to practice. And we see actually a lot of successful cases in label company, music, movies, etc. They are trying to shifting their business models a lot to a new one instead of the traditional buy and serve model. It's changing. So we see many people can only see the cloud. We see many things happening, but nobody sees through the real network behind it. So I encourage everyone first, to, if you do some serious thinking about your future business, do study those individual nodes and social networks, how people, buzzing it, sharing it, and how this value-added path created, the PVA created. It's very important. This is the thinking model change. I bet you will meet so many things, in your future career. Okay, now Sharism. What it is? Sharism is about sharing theory, but it's not a simple sharing that give you a sense of altruism, benefit others. No, the theory tells us eventually it's egoism. Back to yourself, benefit yourself, because we will become universal connected, and the information will find it fast to go back to you by adding values. So altruism, benefit others, become benefit yourself, become the egoism. This is quite, intriguing to many of them. We do many good things before by donation, but we never know where the money goes. Many times like this, we invest money in the company, and the capital sank in the business, and we didn't see any signs. We didn't see how those marketing money goes. So the theory is that very simple. The more you share, the more you get. That's realizable. That can be implemented. So that's belief. And I see the cloud intelligence is emerging in our society. The ideas in your brain, the real brain, individual thoughts, only % of them, like those 5 tweets a day, those people, they share their ideas every day to social space by using Twitter, blog, this message, and they create, collaborative knowledge and social awareness and marketing effects, all of them, become knowledge. And this give us the possibility to see elaborated intelligence and knowledge. And then we generate human adaptable theories and sense and creations and new technologies, etc. It's become larger effect. And then maybe we see the effect of social justice, like a God effect. I don't want to change people's religion, but I think it's much more visible to see through the world is changing, by the social media, by every connectivities. So this is the paradigm. This is the period change structure of cloud intelligence by Sharism. And I wish that every one of us have the chance to practice it. That I encourage people, all of here, today, after day, you create your Twitter and try to practice it. You can follow me or you don't need to follow me, but I would love to see, what could happen to you, to your business practices. This could be very, very, very phenomenal in the next few years. And I wish all the people success based on your effort, based on your visions. And the story of success will change totally. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isaac, for this long vision about your concept, Sharism, and also mix it with all of the some keys of how you apply it on the marketing in China or internet in China. So I think it's just the perfect occasion that you can share also some questions. Not only, I know that Tiskar has prepared some for you, but also the public that probably they want to know much more about China, internet, how it's dealing this digital China or this economy in China. So with you, well, please, you want to start, Tiskar, or I don't know if there's any question. Yes.
The path cut off.
Wait, the microphone.
Do you think Sharism will happen also, for example, in research worlds, in formal worlds in general terms, because there is no business there, I would say. For example, in science, it's incredible, so many things to share, and few sharing, let's say, few Sharism.
Yeah, I think it can apply to many fields, almost all the fields, in our world. That's why I call it philosophy change. For example, I cannot remember. Sorry, I think it's hello. Okay. There is a story happened last year. I cannot remember exactly what it is, about theory. It's like a theory in mathematics, that people, someone in HP labs, they said they had proved a theory on mathematics, and published online, and then raised up a lot of, people's resonate. And eventually prove his theory, his provement is wrong. In this case, many passions, in this cycle we see through the social networks and rise up, call a lot of attentions on those mathematics, change. I think other science, and technologies has the similar challenge, because we lock a lot of research works, in the lab, and because of less of sharing, it's less of proving, less of social evaluation, and it gives less energy to move forward. So people enjoying sharing the research fund, research budget, but they don't really want to call, a public debate on their results, on their progresses. So I think it's definitely, will try to change the scientific and research and R&D word exactly.
What I am seeing is that people is sharing in these terms, in those terms, in small forums. You know what I mean? So in the net, okay, on the web, but really in small forums for discussion of specific things like this. But at the end of the day, this is closed. And I think this is very interesting idea, what you have proposed. But in fact, I'm not very sure whether this is, this is having a way now to go ahead. I'm not sure. It's interesting anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not so sure. What do you mean? But I think no closed system can sustain itself like what WikiLeaks want to do, It's somewhat radical thing, seems to the traditional system. But it gives us a direction that any single organization, even a so powerful government, cannot monopoly informations. This is kind of thing we see through the future. Yeah,
I completely agree. It's only I was thinking about, for example, LinkedIn a forum, forum inside the this kind of networks. Yeah. That's why. Thank you.
On this slide.
Sure.
Because you were asking how many of you are tweeting more than. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tweeting more than 5 times a day, and I would like to know what you think about people telling, "Hey, I'm eating a pizza. Hey, I'm having fun with those friends," or. Because where is the limit? Because hey, I forgot my charger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can lead to know-how and knowledge for Novotel, but where is the limit?
Yeah, good question. Because many people ask me the similar question about if those travel, very casual tweets on sharing, what's the meaning of that? I myself, I don't tweet too much about that, but I did tweet about I eating a pizza before. But I'm not just saying like I'm eating a pizza. I attach other information where I'm eating a pizza, with whom, if he like to be, publicized. So it generates something meaningful to business, where it's important. Because if I don't like this pizza shop, I may say it's so, awkward with the pizza, and I add value to the social evaluation, actually. And another thing is that I tweeted about where I'm eating, and I may receive a response that, "Oh, Isaac, you are there. I'm here as well. Let's meet up." This thing happened so many times to me after my 5 years of twittering, because one time I just tweet that, "Oh, finally, I don't have an appointment tonight. I can have relax, to have dinner with family." But, after this twittering, I got about 20 feedbacks that, "Oh, Isaac, I want to have dinner with you." So this kind of feedback, gives people a surprise, chances, opportunities to seek the cycle, of result. I'm sure that I promise you, I won't tweet every day about I'm eating pizza, because my network now have 20,000 followers, over 20,000 followers. They are seeing me every day. If I keep twittering pizza things, I don't think my followers will grow. Instead, we will drop till those only few pizza shop owners. So I think it's a social adjustment. That's why sharism works, because you can try to tune your sharing stuffs, the content, the format, the messages in 140 words. How can you embed more information to trigger the social changes? Everyone can feel that. That's the economic intuition in the future. Everyone can have this kind of capability. If you share more, I promise you, after several days, you will see you are learning some skills on manage how to share your stuffs, not everyday pizza things. I'm sure about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Could you put back the pyramid back in the screen?
Which page?
Yeah. As I see it, it looks really nice, but I don't think it can be done in the whole.
Can you amplify your voice?
Yeah. As far as I see it, I think. As I see it, it can only be real at the second, maybe the third step, but I don't think it can be done until the top one. So it's like, do you really think it can be real in this world? Or because as I see it, even know-how, I don't see that clear. So.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, I'm not sure as well. I'm seeing the pyramid, by seeing some of my observation, by describing of some of my observations. For example, like in China case, because the political system is not so well established today, and many people are seeking the internet to try to tackle the problems, try to fight with those social injustice. So for many times I cannot describe case by case, but for several cases, we see those social powers. You can never tell it's only someone's contribution to this case, but it's a group collective intelligence that help review the whole corruption system, whole corruption case from different angles. Sometimes you feel so amazing and so miracle about the revealing of truth, more than any journalist, more than any single newspaper. They do the things we call human flash search. They do one by one, but not a single person, not a single node can do this. It's something more than the justice from traditional court, traditional law system. I don't know how to describe it, actually, so I elaborate into the top layer. I cannot describe it as maybe after 100 years, if all the people are well connected by brain pausing to share, we don't know. We may have such devices someday to control the voting system by only thinking, a meme, a message, or maybe we control the pollution, by people's ideas. We don't know, but someday I think it's much powerful than today's. We can imagine. That's what I don't know. I agree with you in some words.
Thank you.
Sorry, I should face this part as well.
Hello, ni hao.
Ni hao.
I have a question. You are talking about social media. I like very much the pyramid. I think it's very good. However, I was missing that you talk about how is the social media in China, how it's been used. Because, for example, I think Facebook cannot be used. They use Cuckoo. I don't know how it's about Twitter. So
same.
Maybe you can tell us a little more about it.
Sure. I'm talking about the power of social media. It's not only related to specific to Twitter, Facebook, or any single service. It's about phenomenon. In China, there's a China version of everything. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, because of the censorship. Because all those services were blocked in China. So there's China copycats emerged in the past several years. And we see the booming of those users as well, like a biggest macro-blogging service in China called Sina Macroblog, Xinlang Weibo. It gets over 60 million users in just 1 year. That's the power of, because we adopt blog to such a number in 7 years. And for microblogging, because it's very easy to be used and it takes only 1 year to reach 60 million users for a service. But the government, like I said, the government tried to push the business to do self-censorship. So the business has to employ a lot of people. For senior microblogging, they employed 700 people just for censoring people's voices. For microblogging, you can see maybe my pizza eating could be deleted as well, because I'm talking about pizza, but maybe I'm joking about some leaders by using this way. So it's sometimes in China, the social media has a very restrained, limited usage, but still the social network is forming. And I'm betting that the government, the authority, dare not to shut down the whole services someday, because millions of users on that, they are shutting down the service, maybe caused a street action. I don't know. Yeah. So this is the current status.
So if we want to make a business in China, then we cannot use Facebook. So we have to go with Kuku.
Yeah, you have to use the local service to do it. But you can, my suggestion, you can use both, because there are many people in China also bypass the censorship to use those services. That's another portion of the market you should pay attention to. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Eva. I'm journalist and also blogger, now here in Spain. And what I wonder myself, what would happen if a Chinese government do like the Cuban government, that is now trying to use the social networks through bloggers, that they are not known, and they are trying to push the ideas into the network.
You mean government agency use social networks, right?
Yeah, but not only the agency as an agency, but bloggers paid by the agency.
Okay. Yeah.
And they act like individual bloggers, and they push their ideas in this social network, and they are also bloggers. What do you think could happen?
Okay, this happened in China as well. It's a good question. And can you describe how many of them were employed?
I can't describe it. I just have listened about.
For example, if there's...
I know about Cuban government, and I don't know in China what's happening.
Yeah, it's the same. China government employed a lot of people. A lot, but it's only 1%, for example, like to the whole internet users, because they cannot employ 400 million internet users as their commentator. We call this is a phenomenon already, because 1% is already a big number in China. We call it 50 cents party. Why? Because originally the name came from a leaked document from government. They pay some local commentators, internet users, to comment on behalf of the government voice, and pay them 50 cents per post. That's why they were called 50 cents party. If it's a party, there is a lot of people already, right? However, more and more such kind of voices has two destinations. Or they were, ruined in the flood of normal internet information because they're minority. Or they were found 50 Cent's party by identity, by their voice, patterns. Because you can see their voices came from government and the voice pattern are all similar. You can find that, right? And what's the powerful part of social media is that the engine can distill itself. It has the function to recognize and evaluate and give the marks of any sharing works, and then reach its fair values. So those information has a pattern from the government will be easily, ignored by the whole network. This is the very powerful part of the social media. I believe it will work in Cuba as well. I don't worry about that too much today. I do worry about that. There are a lot of people, don't participate to comment, to share back, to judge such kind of information. We need more bigger network to value this kind of information. That's the development potential to Cuba and to China as well. Yeah, we need more people to share, like 5 tweets a day, those kind of people, so they can become the gatekeeper of this kind of information. We need a lot of gatekeepers, but everyone can become a gatekeeper on internet. That's the value of internet.
I can't agree with you in some sense, because not everyone can become a gatekeeper, because you need at least a phone. So you need money to do it. So the widest part of the population that they can afford that mobile phone, they are out of the network.
China could be a good case to study, not like Cuba. But if you say radical cases like Cuba, there's North Korea, much worse. We didn't even see any people, even government agencies didn't do anything, or more things on propaganda themselves on social media, because there's no internet. That's the case. But with the development of any social media in any countries or maybe regional stuffs, I'm seeing there's only one way to go, is that people are building more and more valuable social network, social media, rather than functional social media. If the number is increasing, we see the long tail of people, they try to pay attention to any problems, pay attention to those government agencies and devalue them. I'm sure about that because I observed the same thing in China happened. And I'm not sure this moment how Cuba works, but I'm sure if Cuba keep developing the social network, I think there will be more and more gatekeepers like you don't believe this moment. I cannot promise that, but I promise that the gatekeeper will become more and more. And the government cannot sustain the payment of building more, noisemakers. They are noisemakers, definitely. Yeah. And if you're talking about radical case, I think North Korea, we cannot talk about social media there this moment. Like you said, no mobile phone, no laptop to every one of them. But I think North Korea cannot be elaborated, in this way, this moment, but in the future, right?
Hi. You were talking before that one of the good things about this sharing thing is that it filters based on value. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a high value meme, then you will have a lot of feedback from that meme that will increase the value. What I'm asking you is, what do you think creates value in social media? Because as I see it, most of the time it's fashion more than value itself. If it's in fashion to talk about one topic today, it will be amplified a lot. If it's Apple, everything will be Apple, but it doesn't create value in itself. It's more create fashion. It's marketing, in fact. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are some manners on social media as well. Like I said,
those some new products or new services could become suddenly a mania, and everyone, they don't judge so much. That's just buzzing about that. It's like a marketing campaign. It's like the traditional propaganda, of marketing, case. But let's try to use the time to judge it. After the mania, any mania will drop. After for those very critical things. I try to see through Apple case for and some Google cases, some big company cases, and how their marketing messages last long, along the social network. I didn't see they can keep this if it's just a mania, to for days, for many years. No, it's impossible. Finally, it will cool down and reach its normal level of the real value of that. But definitely we should define what is value, because value only to the people care about them. I think this is valuable. And for example, like Apple, for me, I ever joined the mania of iPad as well. And I said that, I will get the iPad next week. So exciting, like this, not so stupid, but likely this kind of word. But also afterwards, when I use iPad, when I decided to give the iPad to my daughter instead of using it, today I use Kindle more than iPad. Why? Because I think it's so distracting to my works, to my reading, to my, what I want to do, So I gave it to children, become a toy instead of a tool, So I also blog this and tweet it, about my decision to as a toy. So these kind of things, I think, is trying to balance itself, from mania to anti-mania, or to reflection about something. So in my tweets, I always have an initialization of something and ending up with some reflections. I could be wrong, and something like that. So I think it could be tuned or adjusted by itself. In the social way, myself do this, but someone may immediately demania after, I saying something. I say that, this is so good product and services. It's like selling something, like a sales. But someone may jump out. You're wrong, because iPhone is not so good like you described. So this is the social power to try to adjust itself. It's the filtering that we can do. I see so many things happen from the time dimension and the space dimension, happen all the time.
And don't you think that if there's a lot of buzz around swine flu, for instance? Swine flu, last year there was a lot of buzz around swine flu, and that doesn't make possible for malaria to be a buzz. Nobody cares about that because they are caring about other things that is perhaps not so important. So how do you think about that in the social media and important things being kept out of value because they are not in fashion today?
You mean the disease?
I'm talking about that because it was very big in every place, but it can be Apple. I'm not talking about mobile phones in third world, for instance.
Yeah, the swine flu sharing definitely has its meaning. I didn't talk about as a case today, but just like the lady just asked, there's several teams around the world now researching social media to detect the influenza around the world. It's become a scientific research method. They can detect how those influenza came from one place to another place. What is the peak? Am I talking about the same thing?
No, no.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't talking about swine flu. I was using that as an example. What I'm saying is,
I think it's valuable. I think it's valuable.
Social media.
Yeah, it's so valuable.
Then you lose the possibility that real value things get into the bus. So How do you think about that? How can we improve that value to things that are not fashionable today?
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to share anything shareable online, like you mentioned. Yeah, I think it's valuable because people from different angles can find its values. That's the answer.
Hi. Would you say sharism is a purely digital phenomenon, or do you think it has an impact on our interactions in the physical world? I mean, do we go around now trying to be more transparent or giving credits to our sources, or is it changing the way we interact in our physical relationships as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think maybe 7 to 10 years ago, I promote the concept, but without really understanding what it said until I studied to summarize everything into Sharism. I call it high tech, high touch. That's actually is a marketing slogan. That because many people worry that if we go online too much, we will lose the social touch and social interactivity and social values and generate new social problems, because of those like isolation, in physical world. But now I think I'm more understanding what that mean for this. It's not a promotion. It's actually something become true. Because just like this case, I can do something online promoting or telling people what is Sharism. But unless we have the chance of face-to-face, or maybe we have an opportunity to practice, what it is, we don't know what it is, actually. It's just like a piece of theory everywhere. And if you share with people, it's a value chain system around work, then possible to work. But there must be some exit. I mean, to go to the physical world like the Egyptian people did, they're still doing. Actually, there are more people online joining the Egyptian uprising today. You may not imagine that. Because not only Egyptian people are doing this sharing, the global people are sharing. And it will generate the value back to the Egypt, the square things. And I see those passion will accumulate again and again and again to see the physical effects, to see the physical results. This is the value of Sharism, because we see through the social networks, and it generates a lot of pizza things. I'm sharing, I'm having pizza, and another guy said, "Oh, I will find you to have pizza together." This is the thing I want to describe, from meme, from information to physical, connections. And people would love to make more social interfaces along their sharing because they want to know each other. They want to have meetups. You see a lot of tweets about tweetups. It's Twitter user meetups. So they use the tag tweetups, everywhere to make this physical context and physical interactions. I think it adds value to the edge of the network. I may trust you more just because we have an interface. The next time I may retweet your messages more. So this is it's a cycle, value added.
For ending, I don't know, Isaac, thanks a lot. Maybe can you describe, I don't know, how you imagine this China 2020 scenario for the digital China, or how is the trend that based on how now is using Chinese people the internet? Can you imagine?
Yeah, prediction is always impossible, for sure. But I always say that future is visible by seeing through signals, just like we research history, because history is actually untoldable, because because we can only find out few signals from history. Lots of information lost because of no blogging in history. And today we have a lot of ways to record the history because the history is happening. And tomorrow we see today's history, and we can see the records, the very visible documentaries, archives, what is happening today, although it's still not enough. The information not overload, the information is poor. And after maybe 10 years, I think China unavoidably, will join this global connections. And we see that most of the China internet services could have to connect to the global social networks, because they need each other. And the global social networks need China information because many business opportunities there, and they want to do marketing there. They want to reward those sharing heroes. Like I said, it's always happening. At the same time, Chinese people, they need to join the global conversation to evaluate which tourism place in Spain is the best. And this kind of conversation is very necessary to both the business, to both the place and the internet users in China. And the language barriers could be bridged by a lot of bridge bloggers. For example, like me, I'm a bilingual blogger, so I can do things, as a bridge. And I see more Chinese people, they are becoming internationalized. I call it information middle class. Maybe they are not so rich in financial status, but they are information rich as an information middle class. I see the number could come earlier than the financial middle class I described, or Morgan Stanley imagined. And politically, I think the government of China have to face the big challenge, like today's Egypt, government face, and it could happen quicker than I imagine, or we can imagine, because we never know which day will happen. Will become an avalanche of the thing, and I bet the authority dare not to unplug the whole internet of China that moment, because it could cause a bigger, feedback of that. But anyway, the connectivity will give both China and the world a prosperous, future, because we can sell more goods, products, collaborate with Chinese people, generate more, creative ideas and innovations based on the big number of China, because there will be definitely could be 700 million internet users, or maybe more internet users there. And now, the online e-commerce in China is so powerful, and every part of the e-commerce building blocks are ready. You can pay, everyone can pay online, to buy products across the borders of country. Like the Kindle is not sold in China, but there are a lot of Kindle device sold online in China, because there are many people take Kindle into China today and sold it onto the C2C website. So you can see the big potential. If you grasp this potential, I think the Chinese market and the Chinese people will share with you the similar value and back to you. So it can generate the positive cycle we didn't see today, but we'll see in the future.
Because you've been telling about sharing, listening to others, and so on. And I guess that you are talking about Chinese people. But I don't know if every internet user in other country is like these people, because I can see many I culture in the net. So those tweets that girl was talking about I have eaten a pizza, and I don't think that they are looking for a feedback. So they are just pushing some information, and they are saying, I am here, and they are not very interested in sharing anything. So I don't know if all those things that you have talked about here are applicable to other countries or not, even if the net is global.
Is the last question? Okay. Sorry, it's the morning time in China already. I'm okay with the jet lag, but I would love to end up maybe the question answer part with some real world cases. I don't know, it could happen in Spain, but I think it's universal humanity. In China, there's, after the Twitter sphere developed, from my personal observation, there are 3 cases on some Twitterers who committed to want to suicide. They just say, like, I'm eating pizza. They say that I don't want to live longer, with the word. And the 3 cases were saved, all saved, just because of their sharing. This gives us a hint about how to solve social problems. And it happened that there are 5 to 7 cases in Japan Twitter sphere as well on suicide cases, and 3 of them were saved. You know what? Not all the people like to reach the end. And they may give the hope to the internet. Maybe they don't want to have a response at all. They just want to claim I want over. But if it is connected, it gives the possibility to be saved. And we found some cases recently on those campers shooting cases in different countries, right? In Europe, in States, mostly in the United States. And we all found those hints they do online before they take actions. Like the congresswoman, recently shot by a young man, in which state? I forgot. Yeah, exactly. And he actually had many information leaked online before he took actions. But I doubt that the social network is not well established in our world. We didn't find good curing system, to help to, as gatekeeper, to prevent such disasters happen. But I believe that don't look into a Tom message like I'm eating pizza. Don't look down them. Many things has its meanings outside of the message itself. If we only say that repeating I'm eating pizza for hundreds of times, maybe a doctor will say that maybe you should see doctors because you eat too much pizzas, Something has its accumulate of social values rather than a single message. So this takes time to prove that. I use the suicide case to say that it's all true stories, I can say. But I want to say that nobody can judge an information is valuable or not with only looking a single isolated message. It could be very, very, very much valuable in social circumstances. Nobody knows. Yeah, because we see millions of information popped up every day, and they create their social values simultaneously. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we just want to say thank you for coming here, for making us more connected to Sharism, since we are a public school, a public business school devoted to open culture, open economy, green economy, digital culture, digital economy.
I'm amazed.
We are too. We are working for this way of looking at the economy and society. Well, it is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Wow.